Welcome, everybody, to episode 2 of our French Revolution series, where unrest flared and voices rose. In April 1789, Paris's workers rioted over wages, clashing with royal guards in a deadly prelude. As hunger gripped the land, Louis XVI called the Estates General, sparking lists of grievances from a burdened Third Estate. Who shaped this brewing storm? Join us to meet Marat, Desmoulins, Danton, and Robespierre, figures igniting change before the Assembly even met. You could hear cries echoing through the streets of Paris. Abasse les privilèges! Vive la nation! Vive le territoire! Down with privileges! Long live the nation! Long live the Third Estate! In the working-class districts of the city, a powerful movement was born, one that would collapse France's monarchy and challenge the rulers of Europe. From 1789 to 1795, the French people fought to secure rights once believed to be impossible. The bold idea proclaimed in 1789 that all men are born free and equal in rights inspired men and women to risk everything for a new system rooted in democracy and justice. Their struggle began by dismantling the privileges of the old regime, and by 1792, it had led to the monarchy's fall, reshaping France forever. But who were the people turning these cries into action? Among the loudest voices of the revolution was Jean-Paul Marat, once a physician and scientist, had spent years struggling for recognition in academic circles before turning his sharp intellect toward politics. Outraged by inequality, he launched L'Ami du Peuple, the friend of the people. In 1789, in its pages, Marat wrote with fierce passion, urging the poor to rise against corruption and injustice. His uncompromising tone and relentless attack on the privileged made him both a hero to the sans-culottes, the working-class radicals, and a feared voice among defenders of the old order. Next, we have Camille Desmoulins, a young lawyer with a gift for oratory, had an instinct for revolution. On July 12, 1789, just days before the storming of the Bastille, Desmoulins famously climbed into a table at the Café du Foy and called the crowd to arms, sparking one of the revolution's earliest and most iconic uprisings. His fiery speeches soon spilled onto the page in Révolutions de France et de Brabant, a journal that fueled public outrage and helped spread the idea that royal authority could and must be challenged. Georges Danton, another lawyer by training, was built for politics, both in voice and presence. His booming speeches commanded attention, and his ability to rally ordinary citizens earned him leadership of the Cordelier Club, a political society at the heart of revolutionary Paris. A tireless advocate for equality and justice, Danton played a pivotal role in steering the people to demand an end to the monarchy's unchecked power. And then there was Maximilien Robespierre, quiet, disciplined, and deeply principled, a provincial lawyer from Arras. Robespierre arrived in the National Assembly in 1789, where he became a steadfast voice for the common people. He championed universal male suffrage, pushed for economic relief for the poor, and opposed both war and capital punishment, at least in the revolutionary's early days. His integrity and moral vision won him the trust of the Jacobins, the most influential radical political club, as the revolution spiraled deeper into crisis. These men were more than just witnesses. They were architects of the revolution's unfolding drama. Their ideas and actions shaped its course and its violence. Robespierre, who came to believe that terror was a necessary tool for protecting the new republic, once defended the trials and executions carried out by the Revolutionary Tribunal with the words, "Many are outraged by the trials and sentences of the Revolutionary Tribunal, but I have one conviction. The fate of a few men does not outweigh that of the nation." The revolution proved to be a costly and violent conflict, claiming the lives of countless men and women as riots and clashes shook the kingdom. but it was this bitter struggle that would forge France's future and alter the course of world history. One of the earliest sparks came on April 28, 1789, when Swiss guards and the king's French troops moved to suppress an uprising in Faubourg Saint-Antoine, a working-class neighborhood near the Bastille. Home to artisan laborers, this district had long stood as a center of unrest, its people driven by hardship and defiance. Just 2 days earlier, on April 26, that defiance had turned to fury. Jean-Baptiste Réveillon, a wealthy manufacturer, had suggested cutting wages, even as hunger and unemployment gripped the city. His words ignited outrage, and when the military cracked down, the repression was fierce, leaving dozens, perhaps hundreds, dead. In the streets of Saint-Antoine, Parisians gave voice to a rage long held in check, their anger only deepened by the guards' violence. Nearby, in the Saint-Marcel district, protesters reeled from the bloodshed. Across France, the unrest was spreading. From the northern provinces to the southern countryside, revolts over food shortages had been multiplying for months, driving the country to the brink of collapse. While hunger and poverty ravaged the land, Louis XVI remained focused on the Estates General, a national assembly that had not met since 1614. As a financial crisis threatened both his throne and the stability of the kingdom, the king summoned the three estates, clergy, nobility, and commoners, to elect representatives and present their grievances. The assembly was scheduled for May 1789, but the social divide that shaped France was impossible to ignore. The first estate, made up of the clergy, had held immense power, controlling both spiritual life and large stretches of land, while remaining largely exempt from taxes. The second estate, the nobility, claimed wealth, occupied the highest positions, and enjoyed privileges, all while avoiding the tax burdens that crushed the majority of the population. The third estate, which included the bourgeoisie, peasants, and urban workers, made up 98% of France's population, yet they carried nearly all the kingdom's financial weight, taxed relentlessly, and granted little political voice. Resentment festered, and the Estates General was seen as an opportunity to finally demand change. In preparation, Louis XVI invited all three estates to draft cahiers de doléances, lists of grievances. Across the country, peasants, workers, and merchants wrote their frustrations into these notebooks, uniting in protest against the privileges enjoyed by clergy and nobles. For 150 years, France's laws had tightened chains around the third estates. Feudal dues kept peasants tied to the land, while payments to lords and the church drained their earnings. The taille, a direct land tax, fell solely on them, sparing the nobility and clergy. The corvée forced unpaid labor, with peasants and workers maintaining roads that served aristocratic interests. In cities, guild laws barred most people from entering trades, stifling any hope of advancement. Nobles could hunt game across peasants' fields, wear clothing and bear arms denied to others, and even when committing crimes, they faced little more than a fine, while commoners were sent to the gallows. Justice itself shifted from region to region, bending to the privileges of the wealthy. From the third estate, which made up nearly all of France's people, the system was clear. It existed to protect the few and oppress the many. But now across the country, the voices of the people were rising, and the revolution had begun. On July 12, 1789, the Tennis Court oath had hardened into action. Mirabeau's words defied Louis XVI and cementing the National Assembly, while Desmoulins' cry rallied Paris against tolls and troops. The Third Estate stand, backed by the clergy, shook the monarchy to its core, a spark now burning bright. How did this moment strike you? Share your thoughts below. Subscribe for episode 4, where a single day topples a symbol of tyranny. Like and share to trace history's next bold steps. Thank you for following up with episode 2, and I will see you next time to episode 3. Bye.